Send your request there through Lyndon.
On this way.
Loud and clear. Great. I'm using this Bluetooth mic here, so I am happy with its results, and I believe I'm live. So let's take this off and let's hit the live. So good night, folks. Good night.
Lintic Live with Lyndon and Jared.
What's with the belch? Oh my
You have
gosh.
to say it again?
No, you're good. That was good enough.
Hi, Lyndon. I hope you fixed your house.
Yes. Hey, Hans. Hey,
Yes,
Kern. Karen,
yes,
good
Joey.
night. We're talking
Yes,
about
we are fixed it.
prospecting, the lifeblood of sales, folks. That's our topic tonight. The
JV, I
lifeblood of
sent the
sales.
request through.
Yeah,
Okay,
let me
here we
drop
go.
Lyndon into this conversation here now. Right. So let me drop Lyndon in. Why am I not getting? I'm
What's
not
up,
getting to
LinkedIn? Good
invite
night.
you.
Let me try this again. Oh, no, it's coming
Hold on.
through.
Yeah, hold
There
on.
we go.
I have it now. Right. Perfect. So we're live. Good night, LinkedIn. I know you guys are amazingly well. Um, Dave, good night. Let us know where you're tuning in from. But as I said, the topic is prospecting, the lifeblood of every single
Of
organization. If you're
every
in
single
sales,
thing.
if you are not, if you are not prospecting, you're going to be struggling with sales a lot. And it's
Yes,
something that
sir.
I do on a daily basis. Lyndon does on a daily basis, and we're going to talk about the different techniques. But the three main areas you want to focus on is, of course, social selling, which is what I do, inbound, which is through the creation of content, and outbound, which is also through the creation of content, but also through other efforts. So I think this is extremely important. But let me know. Hi, Tisha. Good night. And also Zaritel, Zaturel. Let us know
Zaturel, yeah.
for your business. Hi, Khalees. Khalees, let me just say thank you to Khalees because we did a live last week, Friday. I've never gotten so many followers from having a collaborative live with somebody. I think I got like 100 additional people.
That's
A lot
dope.
of people asking about stuff for Canada. So I know I hit an important point there for a lot of people. So that is excellent. So, yes, prospecting. So, prospecting, right?
Yes.
Hit some
The
topics
life,
there. I just
the,
want to
the
add a
life,
screen here.
the lifeblood of the business. So let's first go, just in case we have anybody that's brand new or might be doing it but just don't understand what the term means.
Mm-hmm.
So prospecting is the lifeblood of the business because it's that one sales activity where you get to generate or identify the customers that best suit your products or services. So if you didn't know what that was from before, then that's exactly what it is. The thing with it though is that when it comes to prospecting, you have a few things that you need to be able to do when it comes to
Yes.
prospecting, right? Or understand when it comes to prospecting. Because if I'm not mistaken, JB, one of the first things when people are being trained in their job, they give them a lot of product training, right?
Mm-hmm.
However, they don't always receive customer training. And when I say customer training, with Jared and I'm not talking about customer service. We are talking about the aspect of understanding who is the best fit for your customer, right?
That's
So
right.
I would say the first tip as it relates to prospecting is really understanding who those best fit customers are. And that is what we call, JB, you want to drop the line in there for them?
Your ideal client profile. So, in
Right.
other words, who would want to buy your product or who would your product help the best? And here's a quick tip, folks. Stop saying it's everyone. That is just the worst approach you can take with regards to prospecting. And I think that's why a lot of people fall flat because if you, let's put it this way, if your market is made up of 1,000 people, right? It is difficult for you to sell to all 1,000. But if there are 100 people who can ideally are interested in buying your product once you come and serve them, your efforts can be more focused versus being burnt out. Like honestly, London, I remember from Digital Days House.
Hmm.
I remember we used to literally use a phone book, which shows our age, and
You're right.
I would literally pull the business book from S and just call through. And I could tell you it
Yes.
wasn't one of the best experiences because it was the worst. We used
Yeah.
to get a lot of rejection. So that is one of the tough things.
Yeah. So one of the
Hey,
first,
Jared,
yeah.
good night.
So as Jared is saying there, and one of the key things. So if we had, if we had to keep it in a real practical sense, right? I think you over time, when you started off selling Jared to now, you have a better appreciation as to who that ICP is, right? And your ICP comes in a number of different factors. Your ICP could come from a group of customers, if whether
Right.
it's via age or demographic and location and stuff like that. It could be industry, or it could just actually be the individual that you talk to the most. So, like for instance, for me, I might say I would be my targets are sales managers or executive directors or whatever those things are. But your ideal customer profile takes a number of different shapes as it relates to who those people are, so that you will have a proper understanding as to who do you need to be speaking to. The other part with that too is that sometimes your ideal customer profile takes the form of the problem that you solve. So if you know
Yep.
that you solve a particular problem of X, then who are the people who are experiencing those problems that you solve? Right? So now that is an exercise in itself, and Jared and I are not going to go through the exercise tonight. But the goal
We
is
just want to
to
hit
give
on
you a
some of
couple
those points.
prospecting tips when it comes to that. Yeah, you want to go with anything
Right.
else there, JB?
No, I think I'll put it this way: if you are working for a company right now and you are just making calls aimlessly and you know there's a better way, there is. So if it is that you're not sure how to find your ideal customer profile, if the business is existing, find out or research who your past customers were. Look at the patterns: age, gender, location, the full works, and that'll give you a fair idea for your ICPs. There are lots of other factors to consider, but that's a good starting ground so you can determine what the patterns are and look at it every quarter, because consumer and buyer behaviors are changing so rapidly now that you
That's
can't
correct.
just take a ICP and then switch it and then that's it for the year. You need to constantly update it and look at it over time so that you ensure that you're keeping up to date to what your buyer is interested in. Because at the end of the day, they're the ones who pay us. And if you aren't keeping their attention and offering what they want, you're going to be in problems,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
So
So
I,
go ahead,
mhm.
Jimmy.
No, I was going to straight into what was some of the, like, for me when we talk about social selling, because I know that's an important one that a lot of persons are focusing on. I was actually going to start hitting that. I don't know if you had
Go.
a point you wanted to bring
No,
up.
go straight into that. Go straight into it.
Right. So for those of you who know me, y'all know I'm very passionate about that particular aspect with social selling, and it's only from the perspective of the fact that um, a lot of our customers now are spending time on social media, and particularly for like business sites, like LinkedIn. Of course, you know I always put reference to that. Believe it or not, for a lot of persons are underestimating LinkedIn, not LinkedIn, TikTok, on a local scale and an international scale. I think you're really underestimating the power of that platform. But what I think happens is that for a lot of persons, when they look at social media, they use the old existing techniques that they've had forever to sell on that digital platform, and that doesn't work.
Hmm.
So I wanna go into a couple of things with this, if you don't mind, Lyndon. So
Sure.
let me give you all this factor. 90% or more of my business comes from inbound. So in other words, here's your first step. If you want inbound traffic, right? Actually, no, wrong. I hold wrong. What I wanted to say, no, totally straight. Sorry, I jumped to the inbound topic instead of social selling.
Right.
Sorry, madness. Sorry, I said my tired tonight, folks. But yeah,
Right.
sorry. If you're looking at social selling, here's the thing: a lot of y'all do. You use those old school techniques and you pitch into individual versus trying to engage their interest levels. And I think that's the mistake that you make. So there are lots of ways to do it. So I'm giving you some of the tips I tell clients, and I'm coaching right now. If you want to start engaging with an individual, start thinking about how would it play off in the real world. That's your first thing. So when I go back to the point I mentioned, if you start messaging a prospect on social media, your goal is not to get a meeting. Your goal is always to gauge interest, right? And
Hmm.
even if you have gauge interest, you still need to understand on a scale of 1 to 10, Lyndon, how important is it
Is
for
this
you
to
to
you?
get this solved,
Yep.
right? Because I always give this horrible, gruesome example. There's a homeless guy in Port of Spain. He's notorious. He has a big scab wound on his leg. I don't know if it's from his knee straight to his ankle. It has been like
Mm,
that for the better part of a decade. I'm sure if
right.
you visualize it, you know who I'm talking about. Here's the thing: he doesn't want to get his problem fixed. There are customers like that. They
Yep.
have a problem, they don't want it fixed. Don't bark up the wrong tree. So when you're social selling, gauge their interests. The other thing that I'll tell you to do is, which a lot of you are afraid to do, send a video to your prospect versus sending a text message. And I'll go voice second if it is that you're afraid of doing video, but video will have a bigger impact. And the reason why I say video, look at what all your social media platforms are putting preference on. Instagram said they're focusing more on video. TikTok is a video platform. This is why you want to do video. Your customers, your prospects can hear your voice, hear your words, and it could gauge trust or even authority just based on your message. So you don't want to miss out on that opportunity,
Mm-hmm.
right? And again, because you have social media, you can easily identify from customers who's your ideal client, who's the best type of customer suited for you. And then what I like about it now is that I look at different nuances. Think about it this way: when you follow a prospect, they're going to get notification. That's what you need to consider. If they follow you, you need to send them a message to say thanks for following and understand why they're following you, right? Engage with their content and posts. Don't just connect with somebody and immediately start pitching, which is something I'm seeing. So if it is
Correct.
that you want to involve in social selling, you honestly need to approach it from that aspect. Personalize it at scale. So have a framework for your messaging. And then what you want to do now is just make sure that you're reaching out to the right person to gauge if they're interested and if they want the problem solved immediately.
Yeah. So what I wanna add there too is when it comes to prospecting, one of the key things that we want to be able to pay attention to. So for me, right, Jared is a lot stronger as it relates to the inbound. I mean, he does again, as he said, a large percentage of it is where he would use the social platforms to put the information out there. Here's the thing, though. Um, what he would also be doing, he will be speaking directly to a specific audience. So all of his messages, all of his respective content. On my end, I am also as strong on the outbound side of things. So what I will do, and I'll just maybe give you all an insight as to my workflow as we talk in the prospecting techniques here. So after I understand who that ideal customer profile is, whether it's LinkedIn, whether it's Instagram, or whether I'm just using things like Google or Google Maps, not Google, say Google, actually Google Maps. I don't always use the phone book anymore, but I use TNTYP, which is Trinidad and Tobago Yellow Pages. All right. So I find the sources where I can build out that list because remember, the prospecting comes from where are those people. So once I have that list that's in front of me, I then work on identifying who are the key people and the messaging that Jared was also speaking of. The messaging for me is one where once I identify who those respective stakeholders are, I will build a message that I will be sending into the organization. So again, on Jared's end, he will be putting the content out that speaks directly to the folks. On my end, I will identify that list of people, then drill further down into the list to identify who are the people within the organizations. Then from there, work towards getting their respective contact information and then pointing some information in front of them. Because again, I always believe that in terms of even having a balance between the two, and I know Jared would agree with this as well, putting the content out is one thing, but of course, every customer has a particular cycle. So they may see your stuff. It may take them
Yep.
a year, 3 weeks, 2 days, based upon what is in front, how urgent the matter is in front of them right now. When you're doing inbound for them to respond, the same thing applies to if it is that you are reaching out to them. So getting that information in front of them. So use the respective resources such as TNTYP. Use what you call it as these members. So you look at the chamber, you look at
All the different
what do you
chambers,
call it? What's that
all the
one?
associations.
The services one, coalition of services,
Yeah.
TTCSI, use
TTCSI.
TTMA, right? Because those things will actually give you who are those people. So remember, once you understand who the people are, now where are these people? What are the organizations? What are the industries? And then you work on crafting the message to point directly towards the customer. So when you have your list, so then you're now really working in a little bit of a focus mode towards targeting your audience, and hopefully your sales manager or your team lead will be able to help you structure those outreach messages the right way. So that'll be
Yeah.
my little tip for you there as well as it relates
Let
to
me
your
just drop
prospecting
in this
techniques.
and comment. One thing I've learned outside my working outside my age group of target prospects is my choice of medium had to change. It's not Facebook, even and Instagram, or even TikTok. It's Discord and Telegram. So know your social media mindset for your target age group. Correct.
Your target age group, yeah.
Pauline is saying she did a video this week and sent it out to 100 new followers. So
Yep.
I love that because it's video. What I'll tell you to even push it to the extreme polar. If the people, so you have followers, you could send them a standard welcome video. Hi, thanks for following. But if you know people match that ICP, that people who you know, listen, if I talk to this person that is a seal deal, personalize that video. Trust me, the business will be yours. Their
Yep.
response to you will just literally be asking if you're asking to get some of your time to learn more about your services. I've done it, it works.
Yeah.
it
What
works.
I'll do is that while we have any conversation here, right? I want to ask people like, what are some of your
Yes.
sale or prospecting strategies, and how has it actually been working for you? Have you all found that you're having any particular challenges with it? And you can put what some of your challenges are or what some of your successes are. We can discuss it. All right. What I'll also maybe want to say is that you can look at a number of your different data sources. Right. So again, if you have a CRM, use the CRM to help you actually prospect. And we're talking tips and strategies here, right? So one important uh, one important rule for prospecting is that you have to make time to prospect, and prospect
Yep.
has to be a dedicated thing. Right now, you may not be able to do it every single day based upon what your job is, but try to have more time dedicated towards prospecting. You don't have to block off a whole half day just to say you're prospecting. I haven't met anyone who's been very successful at doing that.
1 hour a
But
day, and anybody who
one
tell me you
hour,
cannot get an hour, you're full of it. You
yeah,
can get an hour a day.
that's
So like
correct.
you would see it on my calendar. You cannot book my time unless I give you access from 8 to 10 Monday to Friday. I prospect during that time. That is simple. So anybody who says they can't prospect, they don't have the time, that is the most important revenue generating activity that you have to do. So there's no way you could say you don't have time to do it. And the only reason we are suggesting that you block off time is that it gives you the opportunity to build a rhythm once you have that list so that your calls just get better and better and better each time. So
Hmm.
don't miss out on opportunity. Blocking your time is key. Even if you can't do that 1 hour full, like you can't tell me you can't put half hour in the morning, half hour in the afternoon.
Yep.
It is easy to get done.
Yeah, I actually have like prospecting times for both in the morning and in the afternoon. And I'll be honest with you, because of the use of a CRM, right? I get the
Mm-hmm.
ability to do a number of different things. So I may even put out a series of prospecting emails after I would have gone through the list and put together the messages and identified, some of the customer dynamics, and then send the messages out a day in advance. So if I do it on a Sunday, it goes out Monday morning. If I do it this afternoon, it goes out at specific times during the course of the day. So again, using technology to help you in your prospecting, and technology will always give you back time in your day, right?
But
To be
Lyndon,
to
can
be
we talk
extremely
about
good at
that?
it.
Because I think that'd be an interesting one. Can you share with them like what results you've been seeing from email marketing? Because I think for a lot of people, they like, and myself included, I'm now going to start building up my email marketing strategy. I think a
Hmm.
lot of people underutilize the importance of this to nurture their audience, use it for referrals, or
Hmm.
as they say, just keep up to date and top of mind with their clients. So, what are your
Yeah,
recommendations for it?
yeah. Well, email marketing falls into your nurturing strategies because you can't prospect. If we talk in the true word of prospecting, the customer has to come into your email list, which means that they would have already converted as a lead, right? So
Right.
if it is that they if they are in your prospect database or lead database, more than likely they may not, and they have not converted as yet. You have to do something with them, and that's the beauty of using email marketing to help you nurture that customer. Or like for instance, one of the strategies that I use or I'm actually looking at developing more of is that particular lead campaign. So let's say, for instance, you want to give the customer tidbits. You want to give the customer a downloadable. You want to host a couple webinars or events. How you could use that is that if you know that okay, you could be walking the customer down a journey. So let's say, for instance, you do a couple sessions or you have a couple leave behinds that the customer could download, and you know that if they've downloaded the two, the third one that you have more than likely means that they're ready to take services. You understand?
Right.
So you get the ability to be strategic and nurture your customers within your email marketing strategies. I mean, because in most instances, we just email market to say that we're keeping in contact, but you could use email marketing as well to walk customers through the journey. So if I realize that you, JB, you would have taken a prospecting downloadable, or you came to the prospecting webinar, then you came to the qualifications webinar, and you also came to the closing webinar. You might not be a prospect, a good person to now provide my services to, because if you're on the closing thing, then we will talk about your closing ratios and everything else. So again, you could
Correct.
measure customer activity based upon that.
And here's what I like about email marketing that I think is really good as an outbound strategy. the fact that you could see who's opening the email. So you could use that to initiate calls with customers. And I think, again, that is something a lot of people underestimate with. That is a trigger event that could just add to your prospecting pipeline on a daily basis. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
and
So thanks so
that
much for that.
works well.
Yeah.
That works well for people in real estate. That works well for people in insurance. Works well for people in
Car
automotive.
sales.
You understand? So it works well for a
And I
number of
think any
industries
sales
where you
job,
just have to be
London, any sales
strategic.
job.
Yeah, you have to be strategic, even if it's copy sales. You have to be strategic in how you go about using it. Um, towards getting conversion from there. I have another point
Yeah.
I want to add. If
Yeah.
um, and again, and this is important, right? If we talk in the strategies, right? So while we talk the strategies, I also want to be able to say we have to align our prospecting to our metrics. So your prospecting techniques should be aligned to whatever your metrics are, right? So
Gotcha.
if your metrics are along the lines of, well, let's say for instance, leads and outreach based upon whether you're SDR or whether you're outbound salesperson or you're an account executive, you will know exactly as to what that is. So if I'm an account executive and I'm nurturing accounts, then more than likely my metrics will be some key account management stuff. So it would mean what I have to do, visits or calls. And even if you're doing emails, you can structure your emails to know that you're nurturing. But again, all that factors into your outreach towards your customer, towards closing opportunities or upselling existing customers.
Okay. Cool. I like that. So then let's switch it up and ask. So for those of you who now join in, we're talking about different perspective tips. So I see a lot of you are here in sales. So let us know, what is your favorite prospecting method that you use right now? We're focusing tonight on three main ones, which is of course social selling, inbound, and outbound. All of these are intertwined in some way. I think all of these you have to utilize at some point. You can't just use one medium. So
Mm-hmm.
that's important to consider. We just wrapped up on email marketing, which I think is an underutilized tool across any campaign. Like even some of the international trainers I follow, um, they have been sharing their results that they've been doing with clients, and it's crazy to think that the amount of open rates and replies that they're actually getting on emails now and before it was dead because they're implementing new techniques. So if you have been using email marketing in the past and it's dead, you probably want to reconsider it. So let me actually share this other one, Lyndon. Here's an
Mm-hmm.
underutilized tool, everybody, that I think persons aren't using, but it's probably their greatest lead source. And
What's that?
that could probably be your phone book. So your WhatsApp database and your I don't know how iPhone work. I'm not an iPhone person. So I don't know how that works with iMessage if it's just fill up your database. But the
Mm,
reason why the reason why I reference WhatsApp is because remember there are people who will have you added and you don't have their number.
that's correct.
Here's the beauty about it. So this is the exact strategy again that I give people, and it works. You could do this. It works. Create a piece of content and put it in your WhatsApp status. You might
Mm-hmm.
not look at it, but people do. So put that piece of content. And by the way, make it personalized. Send some bit of information about some new products or services that you have, or just share a bit of information that could help some of your customers. Then what you're gonna do now is let it run for an hour, 2 hours, or probably check it back at the end of the day. You could go back in the stories and see who viewed it. And I bet you so many names or numbers that you see in there,
You may not be
you could
familiar with, yeah,
start a
yeah,
conversation with and prospect with them.
yep,
Simple
yeah.
strategy.
And
It's
I
not
mean,
that
and that
difficult.
those are things that you should be even doing with your Instagram stories,
Yep.
right? So you could use your stories to
Yeah. So
move
let's say it's a
customers
story
through an
strategy.
engagement. Yeah,
It's not a
not
WhatsApp
just a
strategy, it's a
WhatsApp thing,
story
but yeah,
strategy.
no, but I understand where you're coming from with the WhatsApp as well, because like I would have people. There are people who would follow me on WhatsApp. Like I get, if I post anything in WhatsApp stories, it gets way more views than Instagram,
I
right?
post
Because
a
those are
job
people
vacancy from a company and I was shocked at how many people just responded
exactly.
asking for details.
Yeah. So again, you can utilize your WhatsApp to suit, but of course, when you look through, you will know, because I mean, WhatsApp always is also cluttered with a lot of your friends who are not best fits, right?
Yep.
So, but you will know who those people are, and again, it's all specific to your product, services, or solutions that you're offering. So again, you have
So
to
let me
test
let
these
me
things
give you
out.
all this gem. Let me give you all this gem. So when the person has viewed your stories, send them a voice message or video message. Voice message would work. Hey Lyndon, so you viewed my story about X and Y products or service. Not sure if it's something that you're interested in because it has it has a reference to what you're trying to solve right now, or if you're just viewing it because you come across the stories. Either way, thanks so much for the feedback.
Right.
That's it.
So if you want to put up handles thing here because they're using a
Yeah, yeah.
multi-touch,
This is
right?
actually my uncle.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah,
Right.
so we're
So
using
he's
a
saying that.
multi-touch approach. Our digital team will run Insta ads and our sales team will target the same folks with an email sequence plus add these prospects on LinkedIn. Yep. You know who
Yep.
did it to me? It was Gong. I
Yeah, they
connected
they
with
stick with
somebody
it.
on
Yeah.
Gong. No lie. I connected with them on LinkedIn. I watch my, you know me, I sent them a video saying, hey, nice to be connected with you. Love Gong's work. My next Instagram story was a Gong ad host.
Mm.
And I messaged the person back saying, wow, you guys are quick. She's like, yep, you're already into our database. And I'm like,
But
that is pretty interesting.
let's look at it. Let's look at it like this, right? Because many companies do not do it this way. So remember we were talking about lead gen, right? So lead generation through marketing. Because you brought up Gong, so I'll just bring that point up one time. So again, regardless of your industry right now, copy sales, insurance, real estate, etc., 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 you guys could be dropping tips or doing specific leave behinds on your social platforms through landing pages. Again, another thing that I have here that people are underutilizing,
Yep.
where people can, once you put it there, it takes them to a landing page. They convert as a lead on the landing page because they would have downloaded. And then from there, what do? Your sales team can now, or you can now reach out to that individual to say, hey, we noticed that you downloaded X. So you put them in an email marketing sequence. Not well, yeah, a marketing sequence or an email sequence, whether it's from the sales team or from the marketing team, towards walking them through the funnel. So
Yep.
again, there are many different things that you could be doing. And a lot of this also is powered and done efficiently through the power of technology. Yeah. So
Yep.
again, while it's cool to do it manually for those of us who still like to pick up the phone and say, "No, I still like to pick up the phone and call the customer," you could be covering a lot of ground, right? And allowing the technology to do a lot of pre-work for you so that when you do get the ability to, excuse me, when you do get the ability to have a conversation with the customer, they're a lot more qualified. If I could just drop one thing here, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So
Drop one thing here. And
working
then I'll,
working
I'll
with
bring up a point.
yeah, working with two folks in the automotive space and helping them build out certain things in terms of their lead gen. What we were able to do is help them start pre-qualifying the customer. So they are going to be putting content out, right? One of them is actually made the decision to start working on their landing page and everything else, so that when the customer does, because here's the challenge they're having now: Facebook, WhatsApp, leads are unqualified. They still have to ask a lot of questions and go through a whole set of processes, and they get a lot of messages. So by now putting
Right.
the customer through the landing page, letting them fill out the form, it immediately begins to pre-qualify the customer. So now that they're seeing with
And
all
it's
of
a
the
great
data that's coming into
pre-qualifier.
this, yeah, now that they're seeing all the data coming into the form, they will know whether it's income or whatever the other pre-qualification metrics are. So when they're having the conversation, it's a much better conversation for them. So again, it is a prospecting strategy, but you're putting the content out, you're putting a lead gen form or something there that the customer would need to download, and then you're having the conversation with the customer after.
Yep. And I've seen the technique and I can tell you it works. I know a couple other persons do it in insurance. And think about it this way: for you all in these fields, you're running ads. It's sorry to sound bad. Your purpose in sales is not to spend time with people who don't want to buy a product. Filter
Yeah.
them through so you could only talk to the right ones.
Yep. Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Just
Yep.
the fact that somebody might not want to fill out a form is a direct indicator that's not your ideal customer. So set that up
Yep.
and save yourself from wasting time.
Yep.
Let me
Yep.
talk about
Yep.
this. And this is what I love. I know a lot of people always say they don't want to introduce technology into their prospecting because, as they say, they like the old school techniques of making calls. But the issue I've found is that they're not even making enough or the right calls to, as they say, fill that pipeline that they need, Linda. They're
Fill the
just
pipeline.
trickling stuff
Yeah.
into their pipeline because the prospecting is not consistent. So I want you to think about this. You cannot call or email or let 500 people see your WhatsApp, your stories, nothing. You cannot do that in one day, but technology can.
Mm-hmm.
And that should be your precursor alone to making sure that you spend time this year ensuring that technology is implemented into your business.
Yep.
Because again,
Yeah.
for lots of you, like I keep saying, when you look at where the gaps are, it's just the inconsistency and it's the lack of processes and systems in place. Whereas if you
Yeah.
have it done, and I could tell you for one educational institute that does it well, they had so many inbound leads, they actually put a slight pause on their ads just so they could filter through the leads. So you want to make sure and start creating those proper channels so you can have your business running. And as I say, a full pipeline solves every single problem you can get. Right?
Yeah.
On the last side, because I know we want to wrap up a bit. I mentioned earlier that most of my business comes from inbound, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what I want to mention to everybody on this is that another aspect of your business that you should be doing is creating content, because the content is what I use to get customers
Right.
inbound. And Lyndon mentioned it earlier. Your content is answering the questions that customers have or the problems that your customers might have. Once you create content like that, you will be found and people will use you as a resource. And eventually that brings them to reaching out to you. So
Yeah.
if you're not creating enough content, and I know we have people from car industry and different things here, I'm still not seeing the amount of content that you're supposed to have out there. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, like, hey Bella, I'll put it to this way. If I'm in the car industry, and I've told everybody this already, you're supposed to have a video for every car, every model in that type of car, and for every color, interior and exterior, and including your favorite features. You hear how much types of content for just
Content. Yeah.
one,
Yeah.
and you could just regurgitate that. Because, and here's the thing I explain to people with content, and if you have anybody international watching, they might not understand this, but if Diana Jub could still have Nikki Crosby talking about Diana Jub 20 years later, you could run the same post from last week in your stories.
Yep.
Once it's
Yep.
good, it's good. So
So
use that to generate your inbound.
I wanna add to that too, from on the outbound side, right? So I also generate content. I create content. A lot of my content are blog contents. A lot of my content is also videos from interviews that I do. And what I do with that is that when I write the emails or the outreach emails to go out to customers, a lot of those emails reference solutions that come from the blogs. So it would either be a snippet to a video, it would either be a particular point or a blog that speaks about how to go about solving those problems. So again, you have the ability of using content two ways. If it is a putting it in front of the thing, the cool thing is though is when you get to see that someone would have actually clicked and moved across to that specific email, or not the email, or that blog, and let's say they have some sort of activity based upon what you would have asked them to do, because in your email as your outreach you can have a call to action. Like one of my first outreach emails is not really to have the customer speak to me. So one of my okay, so like if I see a customer who has a vacancy out there, right? One of my first outreach emails is not to have the opportunity to speak to them about anything. I send them something called a helpful resource, as the title of my email, and it speaks
Nice.
on some of the key steps as it relates to hiring the right people because it comes as a challenge. I didn't actually create that first piece of content though. What I did, I took the content from HBR, which is Harvard Business Review, and I send it to them because I felt it was good enough. I don't need to reinvent the wheel. And I send it to them. And then for the second email that I have in my sequence is a follow up that I speak as to how HR can support sales departments in terms of developing better teams. You understand? So again, you could build a sequence once you're providing helpful resources, because all of those things is where how you get the ability to build trust. You don't have to jump out and ask the customer for anything just yet, but use the internet. Be creative in your sales outreach. I mean, as much as Jared and I will always want to help you and your organization, the information is out there. YouTube, HubSpot, Outreach IO, John Barrows, you name it. The information is out there. If it
It's
is that you
there.
want to understand how to write better emails and how to use content to create better emails. Some of us may be better at video. Some of us may be better at writing.
Writing.
Use
Yep.
wherever your strengths are, but also make that work for you.
Right. No, so I love those tips. So I don't know if nobody shared with us, are you prospecting on a daily basis? And my thing is yes. And it's creating a great outcome, because I had one new lead coming today, and I was just waiting on one client to close, which I probably have to follow up on tomorrow. So my pros and cons plan is on my desk, and it's quite written up for the month of January with things I need to do. It's
Lovely.
quite written up. But let us know if you got value in this. Hit us some hearts. Let us know. But as we said, prospecting is the lifeblood. If you're not employing new or doubling down on the techniques that have worked for you in 2021 for 2022, you're going to be heading into problems with a dry pipeline. And we know in January, a lot of y'all have used up your entire pipeline
Used up
from
your,
last year for
yeah,
Christmas,
yeah.
and you have to build it back from scratch. I highly recommend you start doing some prospecting. Know who your target audience is. Block your time so you can prospect. And by the way, when we mean block time, when you're making prospecting calls, you're not researching it. The researching is done before. You're doing your prospecting 100%, whether it's calls, emails, etc. Right?
Hmm.
Implement the technology that you need to make sure they can reach people on a mass scale so they can make your prospecting better. And most importantly, as Lyndon said, make sure it's tied back to your metrics and your KPIs. So you ensure that the prospecting efforts that you're doing is going to help drive the sales targets that you need to exceed. Not hit, to exceed.
To exceed. Yeah, yeah,
Just my advice,
yeah.
right? So I don't know. You have anything else for tonight, buddy?
No, I think again the thing is that, so just to update the group as to what we're working on. So last week Jared would have told you all that the sales profession conference is on. So we're just letting you all know that early. And what we are working on right now is that we are redesigning our website. So putting a lot of different things in place because the brand, the product, and most importantly, how we want to serve you guys. Because we
Yep.
recognize that there are a lot of things that we didn't get the opportunity to do within 2020 and 2021, but we definitely want to level it up for 2022. And a lot of those things really now speaks on support. So I would say it would be interesting. Look out for the website. Even in terms of how we want to provide resources to you all, that will be pretty interesting as well. Because
Yeah.
again, we are looking at it from the standpoint of there are a lot of great people out there that can also leverage and provide information that is supportive to the entire sales community. So keep your eyes open for that one.
Keep your eyes open. I'm very excited. Lyndon came up with the whole idea and the theme, which I think is
Yeah.
absolutely brilliant. And we're definitely going to be chatting on this some more. So I'm really looking forward to the year ahead. And I think it's going to be a great 2022.
Yeah, it is.
I like how it's shaping up already. It's going to be amazing. So, folks, thanks so much for joining us. Shout out to Keston. He sent us a question. I answered it for him, but let me share it with him. He asked this question on social media, and I gave my personal preference. You could share yours, Lyndon. Keston
Hmm.
asks, on social media, does it make sense to tag influencers and other people in your post so that they could drive engagement?
No, I don't
That's the
believe.
same answer I give him.
Yeah, I don't believe that works. K-Love is insurance, right? That's, yeah.
No, he's
No.
lifestyle motors.
Okay, even
Chevy,
same thing,
yeah.
right? Those types of marketing for me. Okay, as Jared just said. Okay, so I come from selling cars, and as I was telling those folks for in automotive sales last week that they have the ability to be so impactful now with the power of social media and generate the right type of leads, but they have to be creative. So things like influencer marketing, that'll make sense to you. What you need to be doing is just, as Jared just said, identify who your target audience is. Like for those vehicles, we were talking to the folks last week, and we would identify that this particular model is mostly purchased by women. So how do you want to start targeting those women? And now you
Yep.
create a particular funnel that's there to support that. And I don't think that automotive dealers are properly teaching their reps how to do that. They're still teaching them
No, they're
to
not.
sell the same way.
Yeah, they take the same strategy as in person and they do it there. So yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
that was the same advice I gave him because I could tell you honestly, and I think I've told you before, and I did a post about it. If you tag me and stuff, I actually tag myself from the post. I
mm,
remove it,
yeah,
especially
yeah,
if the
yeah,
post has nothing to do with me and you just tagging for tagging sake.
yeah, yeah,
Don't
yeah,
do
yeah,
that. Let if your post is valuable and it's giving the information, it will grow organically. Put the
yeah.
right copy, the right call to action, and it will be good.
And expand on it, expand on it, expand on it,
Yeah.
expand on it. You break it up into bits and you go from there.
Hi, Margaret. Good night. And also good night, I think, to Candy Jolie. I don't know. It's Candy, no, Candy Yoli. And everybody else who joined Lorna. We truly appreciate your feedback and everybody tonight. Handel, what's up? I know I'll probably see you later this
Are
week.
we on Facebook today? We on Facebook today as well?
Yes, we are. Paul,
Okay.
Paul or Pauline is on Facebook.
Okay.
So
Oh,
yes,
yes, yes, Paula, Pauline. Good night. Yeah.
Nissan Summer,
Yeah.
thank you everybody. So yes, next week we are back again, as I said, Wednesday every night at 8. Make sure and tune into us. We always talking stuff with sales. If you'd want to be a guest on the show just to talk about your sales problem, to get live feedback, let us know. Or if you have a topic that you want us to discuss or have a question or issue, send me a message, send me a DM, let me know. Would love to answer it for everybody. Cool? Have a good one,
Cool.
folks.
Peace.
Where's my end button? And